This is going to be a talk about markets for public goods with Griff Green. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can get these slides up. Because actually, before I start my talk, Ashley over there has some really cool swag, some Give It swag, some patches. So if you want to just not sit there, but you want to get some upgrade some swag, she's right there. She'll hook you up and give you some patches. And if you really want to earn some swag, like the best swag is the swag that you earned, right? So we have these impact quests. You can go to the Give It booth, learn what they are, but basically the concept is let's leave Barcelona better than we found it and win some cool swag. So you could check out the Give It booth and you can pick up garbage or donate on Give It to Barcelona projects and also get like the Green Pill book or even a hardware wallet. Okay, but that's the end of the commercials. Let's talk about the talk, market for public goods, the markets for public goods. I hope that at the end of this, that you guys share my belief that actually public goods are almost always funded by markets. I know, sounds crazy, right? But let's first start. How many people have seen me talk about this slide before? Good, then I'm going to skip it. The long story short is that public goods are great. There's a technical definition, non-excludable, non-rivalrous. That's not really what I'm talking about. That's the technical academic definition. And it's kind of, public goods, I like to think of them as like the stuff that you imagine governments and nonprofits are doing, right? The value that they're creating. But it goes even beyond that, because actually corporations are often also providing free of charge to end user value, right? Telegram, Discord, did you pay for that? No, most people didn't pay for that. It was free. I would define that, at least for the value of my talk and the value of building cool shit with crypto, I would call that public goods. The main provider of public goods, however, is governments, because they got some huge revenue. $25 trillion worth of revenue was collected by governments in 2020. And that was a few years ago. There's been a little bit of inflation, so I'm sure the number is a lot higher than that, right? They are the major providers of public goods. And they get most of their funding from taxes. But when you look at these taxes, where does this money really come from? You know, where does income tax come from, or corporate tax, capital gains? These come from markets, right? Governments are effectively skimming off the top of markets to fund public goods. And there's a reason for it. Market participants are incentivized to externalize costs. This is a market failure, right? So people who are engaging in markets, they want to make profit. So they take all of the free stuff they can to make profit. That's their job. You could say, if you're cynical, that they're exploiting public goods. So governments are effectively siphoning funds off of markets through taxation in the name of public goods so that they can protect public goods, right? And this is a win-win, right? This is the cool thing about markets in general. They're win-wins. The governments and states, they provide like a safe space for markets to operate. They provide public safety, roads, all these things. But this is very surprising when I tell people this idea. We don't think about governments as making money off of markets. We stop from that next layer, right? No, they get money from taxes. It's true, but taxes have always been coming off of markets. And it's this weird, I don't like the dynamic. It feels like it's like, okay, so as someone who has a business, it's kind of, I'm incentivized to exploit and extract as much as I can from all the public goods that are available. And then as a government, I'm incentivized to extract as much as I can from markets, right? It feels adversarial. It's like extraction economics is what I'm making up a term because it's fun, right? It feels like extraction economics. And I think that with crypto, we have the opportunity to build something better, a different system where it's not extract, but actually it's like instead of extracting from markets, because markets are markets. I'm not trying to change the incentives of the market. You know, they want to make a profit, and there's market failures. But could we create abundance economics on the other side? Could we effectively integrate taxes into economic systems that are built around the value creation of public goods? If we create a system where actually you are rewarded when you are coordinating around the production of public goods, and then like the corporation, instead of being taxed, they're actually, oh, well, this is a way that we can, you know, put some extra numbers on the spreadsheet. That's not extraction economics. That's them just playing their game. They're like, well, no, I can make more money by not polluting, right? This is the dream. This is the high-level dream of what we can do if we can build something better than governments, if we can build abundance economics. And public goods markets are what will create abundance economics. And I think it's understated how valuable this system could be, what an opportunity it could be. Many of my talks are titled, "The Biggest Opportunity That No One's Talking About." Because look at this, governments are spending $35 trillion, at least in 2020, and I'm sure they're spending a lot more than that now. They spent $35 trillion in 2020, right? And no, it's not a typo, right? The previous one was, their revenue is $25 trillion, right? So there's a problem. It's not a typo. They spent $35 trillion, but they only collected $25 trillion in 2020. Where'd the rest come from? Anybody got an idea? Debt. That's right. Money printer go brrr. They actually just print it, right? And there's complex mechanisms for printing. And they're like, no, they didn't just print it. They borrowed it. Well, you know, they issued bonds. They did all sorts of complex things. But in the end, they printed it, okay? When you issue a bond and you give it to somebody, that paper is just paper. Sure, they gave you real money for it, but the paper you printed, a bond, is not real money. It's a promise. And what I would say is that we're already copying taxation models and government models with crypto. So go out on a limb here with me. Public utilities, like let's say that you want to create a water system for a small town, right? You want a water treatment plant, you want to dig a big well, you know, you want all the infrastructure. You're going to issue bonds, you're going to take out loans, you're going to effectively print money in some complex way to build and maintain that infrastructure. Well, blockchains are doing the same thing, right? Bitcoin is just saying, hey, here's some Bitcoin to the people who are maintaining the infrastructure, you know? Or Ethereum did effectively an ICO. They said, hey, investors, give us Bitcoin so that we can like build all this stuff, and we'll give you Ether when we launch. So blockchains issue a currency, just like public utilities issue a currency to bootstrap the network. And then the big difference with public utilities is it's usually centralized. It's generally a top-down approach where there's some local government that's like, we're doing this and we're controlling every aspect of it. So they control the infrastructure. They can either use it themselves to provide income for themselves, like through the usage rights, like collecting a water bill, or they can license that infrastructure to corporations to do all the work. With blockchains, it's more decentralized. So it's like, well, all these people kind of created value in one way or another, so they get the currency, right? And those people need to sell the currency so that they can like capture some profit, pay for themselves, pay for their work. So so it becomes more of a supply and demand game where you have to have a demand source. And in blockchains, usually it's the transaction fees, right? The idea is, hey, it's not the water bill. It's like you got to pay transaction fees in Bitcoin or in Ether, and then that creates demand for the currency that investors can trust. So you can see the parallels, right? But the big difference is that in public utilities, governments regulate the market and collect taxes. If they license the use to a corporation, they can say, don't make the price of water more than $1 a liter. That's just like, you can't charge it more than that. They can regulate the market. Whereas in blockchains, it's more of a decentralized, like the people who are participating kind of self-regulate. So the devs and the speculators are regulating the market and trying to profit in more of a decentralized way. But the outcome is the same. In the end, society gets something, some really valuable public infrastructure. In the case of public utilities, it's something more in meat space, like water infrastructure, an electrical grid. But with blockchains, it's traditionally a financial infrastructure. Financial infrastructure that is anyone can use, anyone can tap into. But there's other models too, right? So there's, maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but if you try to like come with me and be like, think of things like taxes, right? Like how does government make a profit, and how do organizations that are providing public goods make a profit? The most common model by far is an income tax model. The Girl Scouts, their goal is not to sell cookies, at least that's not their stated objective. It's a side hustle. They're like, hey, who wants our cookies, And I consider this an income tax model because the CEO is making over $200K a year, okay? It's not like this is all like charity and great. People are making money off of the Girl Scouts. They work for the Girl Scouts, they make some money. There's lots of volunteers, of course, but the outcome is a public good. They're empowering young women with new skills to like adventure in the world. So their side hustle is selling cookies, but they use that money, they self-tax to provide a public good. And it's the same with social media and Etherscan and lots of L2s like Mantle, where they have a side hustle, advertising, or in the case of Mantle, they actually have their own exchange, Bybit. And Bybit is self-taxing to fund public goods in the gaming industry, in the blockchain gaming industry, or to support college kids in learning about crypto. So there's also another very popular kind of income tax model is the freemium model. And everyone's heard of the freemium model, right? Twitter and Telegram, Discord, they give you services for free. It's so great, right? This is like spreads the network effects. But if you want to be a power user, you want to get that blue checkbox. Just give Elon $8, and then you get other benefits. And there's like the $8 Twitter, but then there's projects like the UN, which are providing one hell of a service to society, okay? Giving governments a space where they can converse. Oh my God, okay, this is important because wars are they're like a thing. So, but the fees, like China pays $400-something million to be a member of the UN, to have access to influence, right? So the UN is providing a public service, a huge public service, and members are actually paying for it. They found a nice economic system. Public Nouns and the Token Engineering Commons, Public Nouns is providing like general public goods, and anyone who has a noun can propose what public goods to fund. Whereas the TEC is really focused on how do we advance token engineering, right? And they're both membership commons. If you have TEC tokens, you have a public noun, then you have special rights, but in the end, the public good is for all. And I want to dive into the TEC because it's a really complicated and juicy taxation system that I think I would like to see a lot more organizations do something like this, where effectively, if you want to issue TEC tokens, you have to send a stablecoin into a bonding curve. I'm not going to explain it. You have to send a stablecoin into a smart contract, right? And when you send that stablecoin to the smart contract, it creates TEC tokens. It's a magical thing. But part of the collateral, part of the money that you sent in goes into collateralizing the TEC tokens, and the other part goes to funding public goods. In the TEC's case specifically, to advancing token engineering, to funding the tooling that token engineers use, CAD or Python libraries, or the T Academy, which is an incredible educational opportunity for anyone. So you could kind of think of this as like a custom duty. It's like you want to bring your value into this closed economy. Well, you got to pay the taxes, man, right? And then the same as when you want to exit. It's kind of a Tobin tax. So if you want to exit the TC, want some money back for TC tokens, you can burn the tokens through the smart contract. It will release collateral for you. And a portion of the collateral that's released actually goes to funding public goods and keeping the cycle going. Now, I called those things taxes, but I'm wrong. Those are not taxes. They're called tributes in the system, and I think it's really important that we recognize that this is not a tax. Government taxes are not optional. You have no choice, okay? They will come at you, they will steal your house, they will take whatever you got if you don't play by their rules. You are in their land, right? And governments actually use that money that they collect to create regulatory monopolies around the public goods that they care about. So they'll take that money and they'll decide what they want to do. Do they want to provide defense? Do they want to control the water, the electrical grid? What do they want to control the roads? You know, honestly, some countries don't pave the roads, okay, guys? Like, people pave the roads. So the cool thing with the TEC and other systems like this is that we're creating the similar economic models, but they're not taxes. They fund public goods, but enable competition. If the TEC is doing a bad job at advancing token engineering, but they're collecting a good market, someone else can come along, token economics style, who's like an ally of the TEC. They could be like, dude, TEC, you guys have lost your way. We're creating the same model ourselves. We're advancing token engineering over here. You can't do that with taxes. There's no optionality here. Taxes fund monopolies. This is something better, much better. Okay, so I have a few more systems that I want to go through, but I got to go kind of fast because I'm running out of time. Merit-based funding is super cool, you know, from award ceremonies, social impact bonds that are funded by governments. But the one that, of course, that's the most juicy is retro PGF. This is the one you guys need to know about, because in September, November, somewhere in there, probably more like November, Optimism is giving away 30 million OP tokens to anyone who provides value to the Optimism network. This is like $40 million. And there's no exact, like, oh, you know, you have to do this or you have to do that. They have some metrics, but you can innovate around what you want to do. So right now, they're bootstrapping this system with issuance of the OP token. And then they distribute the OP tokens to builders. And then the idea is, well, those builders have created value. So they are creating more demand for the OP block space, and then that should generate sequencer revenue. So like how you, kind of like MEV, like how you order the transactions, there's a lot of money that can be made from that. And then that value would get captured and continue this cycle. Now the coolest thing about this system is that it allows for innovation. It allows for builders not to have to coordinate so much with the central planner. Like, if you want a government grant, holy cow, has anyone applied for a government grant? Like, shoot me, okay? It's so much paperwork. They want you to do exactly this, follow these rules, not give money to sanctioned entities and stuff like that, right? So, like, very difficult if you want to actually make global impact. But this is like, yeah, you know, you can just coordinate, you loosely coordinate with Optimism and innovate on a new way that you don't need to get validated. You just need to find investors that will support you in your effort to build towards Optimism. And then those investors and the builders will get rewarded by retro PGF. So you can see they're creating like a free market for public goods in Optimism. And by the way, 30 million OP, okay, in November. Like, what are you building? Put it on Optimism and then get some of this money. It's an insane amount of money, especially in a bear market. If you want to know more about this, Giveth is running a booth. We're playing that game, okay? We didn't really ask permission from Optimism to put that booth out there. That's a community, that's like a Giveth project. And we're hoping that we get rewarded from Optimism, right? But that booth, that's not funded by Optimism. That's funded by retro PGF, hopefully. So, okay, there's lots of taxes, you know, but I want to also get people to think, there's one thing that I don't see enough of in crypto, and it's lotteries. You know how much money is made by lotteries? I just feel like this is missing. You know, like the original, like, Bitcoin idea was kind of like a lottery. Like Satoshi thought it'd be like one computer, one miner, you know, and that like everyone with a computer could kind of enter the Bitcoin lottery and get some Bitcoin, you know? He didn't see mining pools and, like ASICs and stuff. He didn't see that coming. So even the original crypto vision involved, in my opinion, a lottery. But why aren't there more lotteries for funding public goods in the crypto space? Like, it seems like such a degen play. Let's do it, guys. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so donation models are way more simple. And I would say that the donation models are pretty advanced in crypto, way more advanced than the other taxation models, because those taxation models, they're kind of complex, and I don't even know if you guys understand what I'm talking about, because it's pretty abstract. But donation models are way easier. And there is an economic side of donations, at least in the States, and dozens of other countries. It's called tax deductions, right? So you, as a donor, you can get a tax deduction. You can reduce your income tax by whatever you donate, right? Of course, it's a complicated system. Most people don't even get what they get from a tax deduction, but I don't want to explain it. So givebacks is like tax deductions without governments or taxes, right? So we've tokenized tax deductions with Giveth. And anytime you donate to a project on Giveth, a verified project that we make sure is like super legit providing public goods, you get Give tokens, right? So that's super cool. And then there's QF, and QF is by far the most innovative thing that's come out of the crypto donation space, and you don't even need crypto to do it. Givebacks, you kind of need crypto to issue a currency, you know? But quadratic funding, this could be done with PayPal. And in fact, they have, Gitcoin has created simplegrants.xyz, and I think it's super cool. They have like really interesting ways around like Stripe censorship and stuff. So anyway, definitely check that out. But with Giveth, we're trying to combine all three of these things: givebacks, quadratic funding, and referrals. So referrals are something we just launched. And I think it's amazing because we've tokenized this like tax deduction model, you can actually, when a donor donates any of these crypto, whether it's on Optimism, Polygon, Cello, or XDAI, or Mainnet, when they donate, we issue them Give tokens, right? Well, now, if you go to your favorite project, you can get a little link that's a referral link, and you can get part of the donor's givebacks. So now when you are like, hey, check out this awesome project, like even if you're a project, right? You can say, hey, check out my awesome project. Well, then someone donates, 100% of the donation goes to the nonprofit, and then the referrer, which if it's the project, they get Give tokens, right? And the donors get Give tokens. So you can see this is a nice viral system. Well, then we can supercharge that system with the quadratic force, right? We can bring in quadratic funding on top of that. So we have donation.eth, which is our matching pool that we're just starting to fund. And the quadratic force is what really amplifies this quadratic power, right? They're the funders of the matching pool. So they're saying, hey, I just want to fund public goods and not think about it, right? Here's some money to the matching pool. Let the people decide, right? And what's really cool is when you have this matching pool up there, it like just gets everyone excited about it, because now $1 donation can turn into $100 of funding. And then you kick on referrals, and stuff gets wild. And this is what I'm trying to say. When you bring crypto into funding public goods, you can do like public goods Legos. Everything's interoperable. You can build crazy things. I want to see us innovate more. And so thank you so much for coming. Like we have I recently launched, not many people know about this, but I have this consulting firm basically, trying to survive the bear market, guys. It's called General Magic. And we provide services for impact DAOs, like DAOs that are trying to build innovative systems. And we're actually hiring. We're actually hiring in a bear market because we've been very successful. So we're looking for CTOs, we're looking for designers, devs, anybody. Please come apply. Heather is right here. She is like leading the hiring charge and working overtime because we have so many positions to hire from. So if you're a CTO especially, we need your help. Or for instance, I didn't make these slides. General Magic made these slides. They're beautiful, right? Thank you, Rodri. Where is Rodri? There he is. You want Rodri to make your slides? Yeah, let's give Rodri a round of applause. I'm like, can you make givebacks and referrals and all this stuff? He's like, yeah. You want Roger to make your slides? Call General Magic. It's beautiful, right? So, okay, thank you all for enjoying my time's been up for a while.